Before starting exercise 805, I thought I'd scroll down. This is a little diagram on your very last page of notes. This actually comes from the reference sheet, and I just want to talk about the support you've got on your reference sheet before we move on. You know that, so it's under the heading trigonometry. Hopefully you will recognise that the first line, sine, opposite on hypotenuse, cos and tan, you looked at that. That is your right angle triangle. So you must have a right angle triangle, trigonometry, and you revise that in 801. So all about right angle triangles. This one we haven't done yet. That one's still to come. This one we've just done in exercises 803 and 804 because this one is the sine rule. Now, what happens here is that we've moved away from right angle triangles to any shaped triangle, including a obtuse angle in a triangle. We know that when we use this, basically we only use two of them. And if we look closely, we can see that we have to have two sides and two angles to be able to use it. Two sides and the two angles opposite those sides. Now, and you could be asked to find either a side or an angle. Now, that information may not always be given in a triangle, and so that takes us on to this next situation where we're going to look at in 805 and 806, and it's called the cos or cosine rule. Now, again, we use the cosine rule when we don't have a right angle triangle. But let's have a look at what we do have. How is it different? Well, it looks very different to the sine rule. And the things that you've got are these lowercase c, which is a side, lowercase a, which is a side, and lowercase b, which is a side. So if the information given in the triangle involves all three sides, now that should be pretty obvious, all three sides, but look at the capital letter. There's only one, and one angle only. All three sides and one angle. If that's the information given in the triangle, you will use this rule called the cos rule. Now, this is just the cos rule here, having been written with cos c as the subject. So it's like make cos c the subject. So the c went across, became a minus. The 2ab, cos c was here originally, had a 2ab in front of it. Then divide both sides by 2ab, you got cos c by itself. The reason that it's written in this format is this is the format that you use if you're finding an angle. Whoops. And actually there's one more step, isn't there? C is equal to cos inverse of a squared plus b squared minus c squared on 2ab. That's how you actually find the angle. And this form of the cos rule is when you are finding, well, lowercase c is a side. So this is the format for when you're calculating a side in a triangle. So exercise 805 is the cosine rule. 805 only focuses on finding a side, so we only need the format c squared is a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos c, which is on your formula sheet, your reference sheet. Now, as you can see, and I've just pointed out, you must be given three sides and one angle. Well, you don't need to be given all 4 pieces of information. There's 1, 2, 3. We've already counted those. They're those. And 4. 4 pieces of information. And what do we need? No, you must have numbers for it, for 3 of those 4. So the 3 pieces of information you may have are 2 sides and 1 angle, and you're asked to find the 3rd side. So that's going to be the style of question you get in this exercise. I'd strongly advise that you always label the unknown side C, although they've called it D here. We're going to call it C, just so that our formula works more nicely. Now, if I named that side C, I must call that angle its opposite C. So there is a connection in this rule that the side that you're finding must be opposite the angle that you know. We only have one angle, and you find the side opposite that angle using this cosine rule. And so we name the unknown side C and the angle opposite capital C. Okay, let's have a look. Find the value of the unknown side, which is D. Correct to 2 decimal places. Is this satisfying the condition for the cosine rule? And that condition is 3 sides and 1 angle? Yes, it is. So it's not that all 3 sides are given. 2 sides are given, and the 3rd side is what we're finding. So yes, it does involve, maybe is a better word, involves all 3 sides, and the unknown side is opposite the angle that we know, and that must be always the case. So we've labelled the unknown side C, we've actually named the angle opposite capital C, and let's just call the other 2 A and B, and it doesn't matter. You could put your A there, or you could have put it down here. It will not matter. Write the cosine rule, and there's no excuse for getting this wrong. And I do see students who do write it incorrectly, and then all of their working is incorrect, and that's throwing away marks because that formula is on the sheet. Once you've got your formula written, substitute in. So in the place of C is the unknown, it's called D in this case. Don't forget the squareds. The formula says squared and squared and squared. A we've chosen to call 7, B is 3, and then it's 2 times A times B, cos 50. Now, go to your calculator and you put that in. You can see there it's 31 point, I'll just write 31.00 blah blah blah. I'm not going to round it off. I'm actually going to keep that on the calculator and say, because I pressed equals, my answer's there, it's actually stored here as answer. I want the square root of the answer equals 5.56. So I don't really need to re-enter it on my calculator. I can use the answer feature button and get the square root. 5.568, and where are we doing 2dp, which is 5.57. They would be meters because the units are meters, and that's to 2dp. I think I'll stop the video there and do the next example, because it's going back to revise or revisit some bearing, the bearing concept, and I'll do that in a moment.